When I was younger, I always thought that being famous was one of the only ways for you to become rich. In fact, the older I get, I realize that was just a hopeless dream. Even I could consider it to be a fantasy because being famous is absolutely pathetic. And not pathetic in the sense of it's a bad thing, pathetic in the sense that it is draining of the soul, especially when you are in the big genre of being famous, as in like the 1%, the 2%, the 5%, 10%. Not like the average influencer who could go outside and make a fool of himself, but famous as in where everybody knows who you are. The fact that you have to keep a highlight of yourself that you know may not be true, but in order for you to have everything that you have without it being taken away from you, you have to pretend. Being famous is something that most of us will never enjoy, but some of us don't even realize that. We just think of the idea. Just an idea. It's not like something that is very factual. It's an idea that comes to our mind and we say, okay, I want to be famous. But what comes after that? Because let's be honest, a lot of us can't even take criticism. A lot of us don't even like when our own parents tell us, hey, you can't do that. Now imagine if a stranger tells you that and this stranger claimed to be your number one supporter. Just imagine that. A stranger looks at you and tell you, I'm your number one supporter, but then you find out they're talking all this messy things about you on the internet because you might not see it. Some of us need to understand that being famous is not something that we want. It's just an idea that we thought was cool because we see other people getting attention. Most of us don't even like attention at all. The idea of it, people knowing you might seem cool, but is it cool when you have to constantly have a highlight over your head that is not true? Imagine you no longer can go to your favorite park anymore because somebody knows who you are. Imagine you're being told by your agency or people around you, hey, you can't hang around this individual anymore. And you said, this is my friend since I was a kid. And they say, yeah, well, this friend has a track record of being a thief in this area, that area. Not saying that that's not a valid reason for not talking to somebody, but what if it wasn't a big deal? What if it's just something happened when he was a kid? I've heard so much story of influencers saying how they regret the thought process of even showing their face because the only thing that they ever wanted was the money. That's the only thing most people want who are famous is the money. Some people get their money and they dip. They just leave the entire facility of being famous because they realize that there's levels to being famous. And the deeper you go in these levels, the more you're treated as an object and less than a human being. The fact that you can't talk a certain way, you can't state your opinion, you have to always be on the positive genre, even though if it doesn't align with your opinion. And I've seen that a lot with a lot of celebrities where back in the days they have a weird ideology on certain topics, but then because they're so famous, they're so glamorous, they have all these deals, they can't speak their personal opinion because they might be seen as a bad person. And in fact, you're like, wait, these are not human beings. These are products. These are products who are in a baggage that is contained until the money that they were expected to make is completely filled. That is extremely depressing. The fact that you have to become somebody's puppet in order to claim a title that you thought will be great for your life. The fact that you're so famous that you cannot even step foot out of your house because you don't know who wants to hurt you. You don't know who wants the best out of you. You see, me, no, I mean, not even really understand if it's just my Caribbean mindset, but being famous is just being famous. Like, you don't know what you're gonna expect from the things that you value or put out there. You just say, I want to be famous. Next thing you know, you wake up to 10,000 followers, 20, 30, 40, 60. You don't know what to do with that blood clot because you never wanted it in that first place. You just thought that having all these followers, all these views would give you a huge sum of blood clot money. And in fact, that's not it. That's not it. You have to understand that being seen as important means something to people. Being important is not just you making videos, or not you being famous. You're impacting people's life. And when you disappoint these people, you might become a threat. Always put this on your chip or put this on your resume. If you ever become famous, I do not have to be responsible for nobody's actions. I never want this to happen. I never want that to happen. I just thought that I was going to come in here and make a lot of money. And that's most of people's opinion and realistic perspective on being famous. To just want the money. I've seen a lot of celebrities saying that they hate their supporters because they thought it would bring more money if they were much more famous. What I would like to say is, be happy with your life. If you're doing something, do it with a sense of passion. Don't do it because you want to be famous, because you're not going to enjoy it. Being famous is part of the trial of you thinking that you need to be ultra important. You are already important even if nobody tells you you are important. The fact that you step foot on this earth, you had to race against thousands of sperms to get out into this world, and you are number one. That's beautiful. If you ever become or state that you want to become famous, make sure you have a valid reason, because when you reach that stage, you don't want to get to the point where you're like, I don't feel happy. I don't know why I did this. Nobody knows why they do everything that they do. They just do it because they think it's a form of comfort for them. I'm telling you, and I want you to understand this, you are important. Not because you see people out there living their life, seeing thousands of people around them mean that they have money in their bank account. Not because you see them telling you stories about how they're happy, they're proud of themselves, means that they're actually happy. Because believe it or not, a lot of people who say that they're rich, or who they say who they're famous, are not actually rich. They never had been rich. They kept on owing money, which is why when you see artists, celebrities become in a very late stage of age, in their 60s, 70s, you're like, wait, they never had anything their whole entire career, but they always had the latest fashion. Remember, as I said earlier in the video, they were a product of what they said they wanted to become, and there are people out there who are willing to feed that thought process. They will interestingly dedicate their entire life making sure that you're okay, because their pockets is going to get much more but better than yours. Being famous isn't a big deal. It is a life-changing moment, and that could be considered a big deal, but yet still, when you think about it, in the end, if you don't like the people who are supporting you, that's not a big accomplishment. That's just another traumatic experience you put on your life because you thought, we always thought, but it never happened. The people around you should already make you feel famous. There's no extra need to do crazy things to get people's attention. If you want to do something, it's not about getting attention. It's about making people understanding what you're doing. Begging and searching for attention always bring negative interaction. Just do what you have to do. Be different. Be creative. Be understanding. And you will become the proper famous that you deserve. Don't do something new. Don't do something old. Do you. Thank you.